In a nation where winters bite harder than hunger and scarcity has shaped generations, North Koreans have mastered the quiet art of survival. Cut off from the world, limited by sanctions and seasons, they've learned to make time their greatest ingredient. Every jar, sack, and clay pot hides a story of ingenuity born from necessity. From fermented pastes that never spoil to grains that sleep for decades, these foods are not luxuries, but lifelines. They've kept families alive through famine, isolation, and fear. Today, we open those hidden cellars to uncover 20 foods the North Koreans stockpile that never expire, and the secrets of endurance they carry within. It looks humble, thick, brown, and buried in clay, yet this paste has outlasted dynasties, famines, and entire winters. In North Korea, doenjang isn't just food, it's survival made tangible. When trade stops and rations thin, families turn to what never dies. Generations ago, villagers discovered that soybeans crushed and fermented with salt and thyme could become a living source of nourishment. They shaped the beans into blocks called maize, hung them from rafters to dry, then submerged them in clay crocks sealed with brine. For months, sometimes years, the paste darkened, thickened, and breathed. Its secret lies in controlled decay. Beneficial bacteria consume the beans, transforming perishables into permanents. Every molecule of salt, every breath of air, every shift in temperature adds complexity. Instead of spoiling, the paste grows deeper, stronger, a flavor forged by hardship. In a land where cold and scarcity can last half the year, doenjang becomes more than sustenance. It's the memory of abundance preserved. It thickens stews, seasons vegetables, and fills the silence of empty shelves. Each jar is a quiet defiance against hunger, proof that patience can feed a nation when nothing else can. But what happens when patience turns to fire? When preservation burns red instead of brown? That's where the next secret begins. Dark, glistening, and silent, ganjang is the liquid memory of survival. In North Korea, where every drop counts, this soy sauce isn't just seasoning. It's a history lesson brewed in patience. Its story begins with the same maize blocks used for doenjang. Once fermented, they're soaked in salt water under the open sky. Weeks turn to months as the mixture deepens in color and scent. Sunlight pulls flavor from beans, wind carries away moisture, and time distills everything into liquid gold. No preservatives, no machines, just nature, salt, and the quiet rhythm of fermentation. Properly sealed, ganjang can last for decades, growing darker and richer with each passing year, a bottle that never ages, only matures. In North Korean homes, it's more than flavor. It's endurance bottled, poured into stews when meat runs out, brushed over rice to give warmth where none exists. Its taste is sharp, deep, and almost smoky, like a whisper from the past. But what if flavor could burn instead of soothe? What if survival came wrapped in the color of flame? The next jar holds that answer. It glows like molten fire, thick, red, and alive. Gochujang is the taste of resistance, born from hardship and heat. When foreign chilies first reached Korea centuries ago, they met salt, rice, and fermentation, and together they became immortal. In the north, where winters silence crops, families learned to seal this mixture in earthen jars, half buried in cold soil. There, under shifting skies, it transforms. The secret? Fermentation. Slow, steady, and alive. Bacteria replace freshness with complexity. Salt locks out decay, and time weaves sweetness into spice. A jar of gochujang can sit for years, untouched, and emerge even bolder, its flavor deeper, its fire wiser. In North Korea, it's not just heat, it's hope. Spread on rice, stirred into soup, or thinned into stew, it adds life to scarcity. Every spoonful tastes like defiance, sweet, smoky, fearless. But some foods don't burn, they breathe. In cold cellars across the north, another ancient secret waits, crisp, cold, and endlessly alive. Buried beneath the frost, sealed in jars that breathe, kimchi is ingrained in the Korean survival. When the fields turn white and supply lines freeze, kimchi remains. Generations perfected it. Cabbage, radish, garlic, chili, and salt layered in clay pots, pressed down, and left to sleep through winter. Inside, life continues. Lactic bacteria wake quietly, transforming sharp vegetables into something sour, spicy, and eternal. As days pass, flavor deepens. Crisp turns tangy, then fiery, then almost electric. The secret isn't preservation, it's transformation. Nothing is wasted, and nothing dies. Each jar is alive, shifting with temperature and time, feeding families through months of silence. For North Koreans, kimchi isn't a side dish. It's identity. It's the scent of home, the proof that even in scarcity, there is abundance. In taste, in spirit, in resilience. Its crunch is defiance. Its scent, survival. And when the last jar empties, attention turns to what keeps those flavors alive. Not spice or salt, but the sea itself. It looks like snow, but tastes like survival. In North Korea, sea salt isn't just a condiment, it's a foundation. The one ingredient that has never failed its people. Along the windswept coasts, where tides meet rock and isolation meets endurance, salt is harvested the old way, through patience. Seawater fills shallow pans, the sun drinks it dry, and the wind finishes what fire cannot. Each crystal holds a story of labor, sunlight, and time. The salt's purity is its power. Without moisture, it never spoils. Instead, it preserves everything else. Vegetables become kimchi, fish becomes gyokgul, and even meat can last the winter. Salt stops decay by drawing out water, turning rot into resilience. To the North Koreans, it's more than mineral, it's memory. Every household keeps it close, every jar of pickles begins with it. In famine, it seasons hope. In harvest, it guards the future. Salt doesn't change, but it changes everything it touches. It keeps life when nothing else can. And yet, while salt works in silence, another preservation speaks in color. The deep red of sun and fire ground into dust. They burn without flame. Gochugaru, the crimson heart of Korean flavor, is heat preserved in time. In North Korea's brief, blazing summers, red chilies dry under endless sun, their skins tightening until they gleam like lacquer. Then they're ground, coarse, fragrant, alive. These flakes hold the memory of sunlight. Dehydration locks away decay, while natural oils preserve their fire. No mold, no moisture, just the scent of smoke and the taste of endurance. Stored in earthen jars, gochugaru keeps for years, each season deepening its color, sharpening its flavor. To North Koreans, it's not just spice, it's survival. When fresh vegetables vanish in winter, a pinch of these flakes can resurrect any meal, warming both body and spirit. It paints kimchi, enlivens soups, and reminds families of harvest even in hunger. Each jar is a promise that warmth will return. And beyond that warmth, the ocean glints, where silver lives are caught, salted and made eternal under the same sun. Tiny, silver, and eternal, myeolchi, or dried anchovies, are the sea's gift to survival. In North Korea, where winters freeze the coast and scarcity bites, these brittle fish feed hope when fresh catch disappears. Once netted, they're washed, salted, and spread on bamboo mats to dry under relentless wind and sun. The process strips away water, leaving behind pure essence, protein, salt, and umami preserved by air alone. That's their secret, total dryness. Without moisture, nothing can rot. Months pass, even years, and the fish remain, light, crisp, and ready to revive at a moment's notice. When boiled, they give broth its soul. When fried, they fill rice with memory. Myeolchi isn't luxury, it's endurance. Every handful tells of discipline, foresight, and the wisdom to use abundance to fight absence. Their scent is sharp, their flavor deep, like the sea, whispering through the cold. They are the echo of tides, captured in salt and wind. And when the sea sleeps, another treasure wakes, drawn from its dark, green depths, where preservation begins in silence. Thick, dark, and glossy, dashima, or dried kelp, is the ocean's quiet heartbeat. Pulled from the cold northern waters, it's hung in long strips to dry in the open air until it stiffens like parchment. To the untrained eye, it looks lifeless. But to North Koreans, it's the essence of the sea, preserved in silence. Its secret lies in salt and sun. Once dried, kelp locks in its natural minerals and oils, resisting decay for years. Stored cool and dry, it doesn't spoil. It waits. When dropped into boiling water, it releases a deep, savory aroma that fills the air, creating the base of countless soups and stews. In times of scarcity, dashima feeds the body with iodine and strength, and the spirit with comfort. It's the flavor of endurance, born from the sea's patience and the people's restraint. Every sheet of dried kelp carries the memory of tides and wind, a whisper from the ocean, even miles inland. But when the seas freeze and hunger sets in, another ocean treasure steps forward, pale, frozen, and transformed by air and cold into something almost sacred. It stands in rows like ghosts on the snowy plains, thousands of fish hung by their tails, swaying in the wind. This is hwangtae, or dried pollock, a food that defies the impossible. In the icy villages of northern Korea, fishermen expose pollock to months of winter air. The cold freezes them by night, and the sun thaws them by day, over and over for nearly 100 days. That cycle of freezing and drying breaks down the flesh, turning it pale, soft, and nearly indestructible. Its secret isn't heat, it's patience. The alternating frost and sunlight remove moisture without killing the soul of the fish. What remains is light, fragrant, and eternal. Properly stored, hwangtae lasts for years, its flavor deepening with every season. To North Koreans, its comfort made visible. Boiled in soup, grilled over coals, or shredded into rice porridge, hwangtae revives both body and will. It's a meal for the coldest nights, the taste of resilience stretched thin in shining gold. And when the wind's still, the ocean offers one more gift, thinner, darker, and as fragile as paper, yet strong enough to feed a nation. It flutters like silk and snaps like fire. Gem or dried laver is fragility turned immortal. Harvested from the sea's surface in winter, it's washed, pressed, and sun-dried into paper-thin sheets so light they can float on air. Its preservation secret is purity itself, no fat, no moisture, no need for anything but wind and patience. Once dried, gem becomes nearly eternal. Stored in dry air, it resists time. Crisp today, crisp years later. Toasted lightly, it releases the scent of ocean mist and smoke, filling even the smallest home with warmth. For North Koreans, gem is memory you can taste. It's eaten plain with rice, crumbled over soup, or shared during festivals. A reminder that beauty can be born from hardship. It nourishes not through weight, but through grace. Each sheet carries the shimmer of sunlight over water, a quiet promise from the sea that life endures in the simplest forms. But beyond the waves and salt, another preservation begins, not in oceans, but in fields, where green turns gold under the cold northern sky. They hang in the wind like green ribbons turned to parchment. Siraigi, or dried radish greens, one of North Korea's most humble but enduring foods. In a land where nothing can go to waste, even the tops of radishes are saved. After harvest, families wash the leaves, tie them in bundles, and hang them under open skies until the sun and air draw out every drop of life, and yet somehow preserve it too. Their secret lies in transformation. Once dried, the greens lose their weight but not their strength. Months, even years later, a soak in hot water revives them completely. Soft, earthy, and full of iron and fiber. They return from stillness like memory itself. Siregi became the taste of endurance, food for soldiers, farmers, and anyone who lived through the long winters. In stews, it adds depth. In porridge, warmth. To the North Korean people, it is proof that what is discarded can still sustain. Even when the fields turn barren, these dry leaves carry the scent of harvest, a whisper the green will return. But not all lifelines are leaves. Some are grains that sleep beneath the soil, waiting for hunger to wake them. White, silent, eternal. Rice is the still heart of every Korean meal. In North Korea, it is treasure, measured grain by grain, hoarded through famine, shared only in faith. Its simplicity hides genius. Once harvested, the grains are husked, dried, and sealed from air and moisture, transforming them into small, unspoiling miracles. Stored properly, rice can last decades, asleep, unchanging, waiting for fire to bring it back to life. Its preservation secret is absence. No water means no decay, no air means no loss, just dense, sleeping energy in every kernel. In lean months, it becomes kanji. In celebration, it's steamed, pure, and white, a symbol of renewal. To North Koreans, rice is not just food, it is pride, sacrifice, and prayer. the measure of labor and love. Every household guards it like gold, every grain carrying the weight of a nation's hunger and hope. It feeds without speaking, comforts without promise, and endures without change. And yet, in fields beyond the paddies, another grain rises taller, rougher, yellower, but just as eternal, the second pillar of endurance beneath the northern sun. Golden, coarse, and humble. Maize is the grain that carried North Korea through its hardest years. When rice ran out, corn filled the bowls, a symbol not of luxury, but of survival. Harvested in autumn, the kernels are dried on rooftops and woven mats until they harden like stone. Then they're shelled and stored in sacks or earthen jars, untouched by rot or insects for seasons on end. Its secret is dryness and density. Each kernel traps its own air, sealing in life while shutting out decay. It can endure heat, cold, and years of neglect, still ready to grind into porridge or powder when hunger calls. To the North Korean people, maize is a memory of endurance, of famine fought with fire and patience. It's boiled into gruel, ground into cakes, or puffed into snacks. Simple, yet sustaining. Even now, it remains the grain of resilience, the taste of survival that refuses to fade. In the soft crunch of corn lies the echo of hardship and the quiet promise of dawn. But beyond the golden fields, another crop waits, pale, ancient, and reborn every spring, shaping the rhythm of northern life. They are the first to rise and the last to die. Wheat and barley, the early crops that once shaped the rhythm of North Korean life. Before rice could grow tall or maize could ripen, these grains broke through the frozen ground, promising bread where there had been only hunger. After harvest, they're sun-dried on woven mats until the husks rattle in the wind. The kernels, stripped and stored, are small but eternal. Their preservation secret lies in dryness. No moisture, no decay. Sealed in earthen jars or cloth sacks, they can rest for years, waiting for the millstone's call. Ground into flour, they become noodles, dumplings, or porridge. Simple foods that fill long winters with warmth. To the North Korean people, wheat and barley are the taste of beginnings. The signal that hunger's hold is loosening. Each grain is a quiet victory over cold and scarcity, a reminder that spring can still be trusted. But beyond the fields, beneath the frost, another harvest waits, round, pale, and hidden underground, feeding the nation in silence. Under the frozen earth, potatoes sleep, small, starchy guardians of survival. In North Korea's northern highlands, where rice cannot grow, potatoes have become the lifeblood of entire provinces. When winter descends, families bury their harvest deep in cellars carved from rock and soil. Cool, dark, and dry, these underground vaults protect the potatoes from frost and rot. The secret lies in temperature, cold enough to slow time, warm enough to preserve life. Months later, when the snow melts, they emerge as firm and golden as the day they were stored. Boiled, steamed, or ground into noodles, potatoes sustain where nothing else can. In times of famine, they were the only thing between survival and despair, a humble root turned savior. To the North Koreans, the potato is endurance in its purest form. Buried, patient, silent. It teaches that strength often hides beneath the soil, unseen but unwavering. And just beyond the fields of root and grain, another quiet miracle waits, one that hums with life even when all else grows still. Small, golden, and powerful, soybeans are the quiet architects of Korean sustenance. In North Korea, they are not just crops, but foundations, the seed that builds milk, paste, tofu, and oil. After harvest, the beans are dried until they clink like stones. Their preservation secret is simplicity itself, dryness and density. Without water, they can rest for years, unchanged, holding inside them both protein and potential. When soaked and ground, they awaken, turning into tofu, fresh nourishment born from patience. Soybeans survive where livestock cannot. They feed soldiers, families, and children through scarcity, offering strength in a world where meat is rare and luxury is forgotten. They're compact, efficient, eternal, a crop designed for endurance. For North Koreans, soybeans symbolize self-reliance, the promise that even the smallest seed can sustain a nation. Their flavor is mild, their power immense. Every handful is a quiet rebellion against hunger. And from these golden seeds comes another preservation, one that smells of salt and sea, of life made eternal beneath the waves. It smells of the sea, sharp, briny, and alive. Jeotgal, North Korea's salt-fermented seafood, is the ocean captured in a jar. Made from anchovies, shrimp, or tiny shellfish, it begins with abundance and ends with patience. Fresh catch is mixed with salt in heavy crocks, then left to rest under stone lids for months. In that time, the ocean transforms itself. Flesh dissolves, flavors deepen, and life becomes preservation. The secret lies in the salt. It halts decay, but allows slow fermentation, turning perishables into flavor that never fades. Even after years, Jeotgal remains potent. A single spoonful enough to flavor an entire pot. In famine, it's survival. In feast, it's luxury. To North Koreans, it's the sea's eternal gift. Proof that nature itself conspires to keep them alive. It's used sparingly, respectfully, a relic of taste passed through generations. When the lid lifts, the air fills with salt and memory, a scent of resilience. But not all endurance comes from the sea. Some are born from the earth, from roots that turn to noodles as clear as glass. Translucent, delicate, unbreakable. Naengmyeon is the taste of clever preservation. In a country where every root matters, the humble sweet potato becomes more than food. It becomes a lifeline. Its starch, drawn from crushed and dried tubers, is spun into fine threads that glisten like rain when cooked. The secret is simplicity. Pure starch contains no fat or moisture, so it cannot spoil. Stored dry, these noodles can survive for years, waiting to be revived in boiling water, turning clear and silky once again. They are light as paper, yet filling enough to feed families through lean months. To North Koreans, naengmyeon is both resource and resilience. It stretches ingredients, multiplies meals, and carries the comfort of warmth. Served in stews or stir-fried with vegetables, it's a quiet triumph of ingenuity over scarcity. Each strand is a reminder that survival can be beautiful, translucent, flexible, and strong. And beyond those threads lies another, darker, earthier, a noodle born from cold plains and ancient grain, cold, gray, and endlessly patient. Buckwheat noodles are the soul of Korea's harsh winters. In the north, where rice struggles to grow, buckwheat thrives. Farmers grind its seeds into coarse flour, mix it with water, and shape it into long, thin noodles that dry stiff under the mountain wind. Their secret lies in that dryness. With every trace of moisture gone, buckwheat noodles become nearly immortal. Sealed and stored, they wait through seasons of hunger until summer returns. When boiled and chilled in broth, they transform again, firm, elastic, refreshing. To North Koreans, naengmyeon isn't just a meal, it's a memory of resilience. It's eaten cold, even in the depths of winter. A reminder that endurance isn't always warm. The noodle's earthy flavor carries the taste of fields and frost, of simplicity turned sacred. Each bowl tells a story of patience and pride, of hunger conquered by craft. And when the bowl is empty, the next flavor comes not from grain or sea, but from the forest where the air itself preserves. Dark, wrinkled, and fragrant, pyogo, or dried shiitake mushrooms, are nature's own preserved spice. In North Korea's forests, mushrooms are gathered after rain, sliced, and left to dry in the open air until their scent grows rich and smoky. The secret lies in dehydration. Stripped of water, they lose nothing but perishability. Their aroma concentrates, their texture hardens, and their shelf life stretches to years. Stored in paper or jars, they wait quietly, asleep, not dead. When soaked again, pyogo come alive, soft, meaty, and full of umami. Their broth carries the taste of earth and wood, deep and comforting. A handful can flavor an entire meal. To North Koreans, these mushrooms are forest gold. They bridge seasons, turning scarcity into abundance, simplicity into flavor. Even in famine, a few dried caps can turn plain rice into feast. Each mushroom carries the breath of the mountains, a quiet whisper of life that endures without light, without water, without end. And as this journey ends, one truth stands clear. In North Korea, survival is not just a struggle, it's an art of endurance. Every jar of salt, every thread of noodle, every grain stored against the cold speaks of quiet defiance and unyielding will. These aren't just foods. They're memories preserved in salt, wind, and patience, proof that even in scarcity, life finds a way to endure. But here's the thought that lingers. Are the North Koreans alone in this mastery of time and taste? Just beyond the border, another people have turned preservation into poetry. Separated by land, but united through flavor, South Koreans have crafted their own timeless pantry, fiery, rich, and alive with spirit. In the next episode, we'll uncover 20 foods South Koreans stockpile that never expire, where every jar tells not of survival alone, but of pride, passion, and the taste of resilience that refuses to fade.